Bishop, this week, Pope Francis just came out and talked about how the church needs to stop attacking LGBT people and bring them back into the church of faith. And, and it started a dialogue about how Jesus himself lived a life on the margins of society, helping those who have been marginalized so much. We have the upcoming faith rally for trans equality in Miami on Sunday. And, on with all this and added to it, a state legislator just recently talked about that legislation to protect and provide for LGBT people, especially transgender people, is immoral. What's your reaction, and how does that make you feel as the individual you are? And if you could tell us more about you also.
Well, first and foremost, I think that the Pope did exactly what the chief shepherd is supposed to be doing, which is to remind people of faith on what we really need to be focused on, and not to get caught up in distractions of political expediency, if you will. To those folk who are sort of running scared, I just want to remind them the sky didn't fall when slavery was ended, as people who sought to keep slavery in place feared it would. This country didn't go to hell in a handbasket when women got the right to vote, as some men feared they would. This country is still a great country, even in us having our first elected African-American president. Like, we have made great strides as human beings and as a country, and the sky hasn't fallen. To legislatures such as the one we have here in Florida claiming that inclusive legislation is immoral, I say, where are we as people of faith? First, we are commanded to love God with all of our heart, with all of our mind, with all of our soul, with all of our being. And then we are commanded to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So in the midst of thinking equality is immoral, I ask you, where is your faith? And I, as a person of faith, born and raised in the tradition of the Pentecostal Black Church, am very clear that I have no choice but to be exactly who I am, who God created me to be out, bold, visible, and to raise my voice to the threats of injustice anywhere.
So, a lot of individuals who I know who are transgender, they're angry, they're mad, they're frustrated, they have a difficult time finding jobs, they have a difficult time finding safe and affordable housing. The National Center for Transgender Equality states that the average transgender person is lucky to earn $10,000 a year. Many are forced into work that turns them into criminals. What would you say about the community that we have, where, especially transgender people, who that we would hope people of faith would pray with us rather than on us? What's your message to those who are in pain and really are needing this to maybe be a moment to heal and to call on the larger LGBT community and allied community to join in this fight?
The great thing about Save Dade initiating this rally, putting out the call for this rally, the great thing about the partnerships established to produce this rally, particularly that of the Pride Center at Equality Park, is that what we are unequivocally saying is that we realize that there is a detriment and a threat that transgender people live under in this society that no other segment of our community has to deal with. When we talk about the upcoming Transgender Day of Remembrance approaching us, where folks are preyed upon and murdered just for simply existing, just for simply breathing, we understand that there is a threat and a harsh cold reality that is unwelcoming to transgender people in our society as a whole. When we talk about the ability to access fair housing, when we talk about the ability to access medical care, when we talk about employment protections. And yet, this argument gets reduced to what bathrooms people are allowed to use at a point in time where, like I said earlier, people are being killed simply for existing. Certainly, we need to shift the conversation. And I think that that's the great thing that Save Dade and Pride Center at Equality Park are doing, and having the larger community really get that there's a segment of our community that has been marginalized, that has not been affirmed, and we're finally getting that we can no longer look at folks in our community and say, your end of the ship is sinking. We're all in the same ship together, and if there's a leak in it, we're all going down. So it is incumbent upon us to hold each other's hands.
What's your message to those who are supportive but don't know what they can do to help?
I will lean on and call upon the wisdom of Dr. Maya Angelou, who said, you know, when white folk are uncomfortable about racism being talked about in their circles, what do? The one thing you can't do is stay silent. The one thing everybody can do is raise their voice and go, not acceptable. I do not agree. I do not find these people to be subhuman. These people deserve every human accommodation that we would provide any other human being. The worst thing anybody could do is be silent.